transmission incoming from Neptune's orbit.
The following podcast contains spoilers for Event Horizon. You have been warned!
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of KFR News Radio. It's been a while since I've done that, and it feels good.
Yes.
It feels good.
Yes.
I am your host, Judgement, along with your host, Miguel Magusto.
That is me.
My little fella.
Yeah, well, not that little.
Not
Only that little at all.
Only where it matters.
Yeah.
Little ego.
Yeah, exactly. How you doing, Glenn?
I'm all right. Today was very rough. I helped close, as you know, the Oaks Theater today.
Yes.
We got a lot of
our baby.
We were
Our
stripping
baby
it out
boy.
a bit. It was very depressing, honestly,
Yeah.
because I've never closed, obviously, a business, let alone part of my business before.
Yeah.
Not that it's my personal business, but a business that I'm working for.
Yeah.
And just seeing it close down and just like seeing the process and being like, man, this is fucking sad. Especially on top of it, since it's a theater that we went to almost every week. It's just weird to see an end of a road like that.
Yeah. Not only did we go there every week, it's where we first started KFR. We went there to avoid talking to people we knew.
Yep.
When we first started it. So, yeah, it's gone. Unfortunately, gone while I was in Iceland. That's probably the hardest part. I didn't even know it was closing until.
Yep.
I mean, I knew it was closing. It was just a matter of when.
We all knew it was closing. It was just like they never gave us like a specific date on when it was happening.
Yeah, it was supposed to close in February. Lasted until what was it? May 3rd.
May 4th is when
May
it
4th?
closed.
Yeah, May the 4th be with you.
Yep.
Yeah, so like I was in Iceland and you're like, it's closing, and then you said it's closing either this week or next week. And I'm like, oh fuck, I hope it's next week.
It went down
so.
like a domino effect. I'm like, it's closing. It's closing this week. It might close now. It's closing. Boom.
And I was in Iceland just watching.
We were learning
afar.
as we were going. And I really wanted to see Guardians. Like I wanted that to be the last movie I saw there. And of course, they didn't even like get the showings of it, so they didn't show it at all. So I was like, well, this fucking sucks.
Yeah. Last movie I saw there was Renfield.
Both of us, yeah.
And I didn't even know.
Didn't even know. Had we known, we would have changed that. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah. So you were in Iceland.
I was, yeah.
And I will say I watched a whole lot of something and a whole lot of nothing at the same time.
Interesting. I know you were at my house. You were watching
And
my pup, my baby pup.
Yep. With house sitting comes a shit ton of movies that are in your little collection there. I looked at them for a brief second. And I'm like, I'll be honest, I do not want to watch a movie. So I finished Beef, which is a series I had gotten halfway through before you went to Iceland. And then I was about episode 6, and I cranked out the rest of them. What an amazing show. I now understand what you mean by you would hate if they continued it, because it does leave off on such like a good ending.
Yes.
But it also leaves it a little bit open enough to where it could, but it would be nice if it didn't.
Yeah, I am just like, I love finality in stories. My biggest problem with American TV shows and even movie franchises now is that there's no finality. So, like, endings are the greatest part of stories.
Yeah.
But none of these stories have any endings anymore, so it's just it's kind of annoying. And so I really hope. I heard that he doesn't want to do anymore, but
well, it would
money is a thing.
It would make sense for it to happen, I guess. But also, what would happen? Like,
exactly.
There's not enough there to warrant, in my opinion, a second season. You want to see. I can't spoil it. You want to see what happens, but you don't it's enough there to where you don't need to. I thought it was great. I thought the two had such excellent chemistry. I'm like, damn, these guys are so fucking toxic for each other. They're almost perfect. It's insane.
For real.
But that was a fantastic show. And I can't remember if I have Apple TV because of you on my TV or not, but I had never really gotten around to this show. And obviously, since I was at your house, I knew you had it on yours. I started watching Ted Lasso. And here's a fun little fact I just should whip out. I finished this show in less than 2 days. It's 3 seasons long.
Yeah.
That is an accomplishment, and I am disgusted with myself all in one little natural cycle.
Is season 3 done already?
I got 6 or 7 episodes.
So you watched everything that was available?
So that's 2 seasons and then 7 episodes of this season. That's to me, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Like I started Friday night after work, and I finished Saturday night. That's bonkers to me.
Yeah, I haven't even watched. I've seen 2 episodes from season 3 because I have to wait for Caitlin, and she keeps falling asleep when our son falls asleep. So then it's just me by myself watching movies.
I think the first season is like damn near perfect, and I think the second season's really good, and I think the third season you kind of follow characters that really aren't in the scenario anymore. Yeah. And it's just like, why am I following this person when they're not even going on with what's going on with like the rest of the crew? I don't know. It's like they're a fun character, but I just don't see them. I just don't see why we're still following that person if they're not in the core structure of it. But a fantastic show. Jason Sudeikis is so goddamn good, and I really like how they kind of bring a big factor into like men's mental health and how like serious it should be taken. Most men are not going to ask for help or anything like that, and that's kind of what Ted Lasso is in this.
Yeah, we're trained not to. So
yep, we're just built, as they say, different,
and not in a good way.
Not in a good way. So that's a really good show. I finished that, and then on Netflix, I still wasn't in the mood for a movie. I think because Oaks was closing, I was like, I'm just not in the mood to see movies. Yeah. So I started up Narcos, which kept kind of popping up in my little life about watching it, and I was like, fine. I'm house sitting. I've got a whole week left. I'm going to start Narcos. I am almost at the end of season 2. It's a really good show. I really wish the story followed Javier Pena, Pedro Pascal's character, more than it followed Boyd Holbrook's character, Steve Murphy. But I just got to the point where it makes sense why we're following that character now. So I guess I get it. Because Pedro Pascal's character was much more interesting. For a majority of it, we just follow Pablo Escobar. So you don't even really follow Boyd Holbrook's character. But have you watched it? Or I don't think you have,
Narcos,
right?
no. You know me with TV shows. I have no problem with TV shows. I prefer... and a lot of people think it's because I have a short attention span, but I could sit for a 4-hour movie and be perfectly fine. So it's not that. I don't like the repetitiveness of TV shows. I don't like how long it takes to tell simple stories because by nature, TV shows have a lot of filler, which is fine. That's what they're for, They're there so you can pay attention kind of and not really follow anything. So it just kind of bothers me to watch TV shows, and that seemed like one that is going to be good, but I just haven't gotten around to it. Might never. I'm going to be honest. I might never watch it.
I mean, to be honest, I really never probably would have gotten to this if I didn't happen to be house sitting for you.
Yeah.
It is one of those shows where it doesn't feel like there's filler. It is good. But I mean, I would not personally say, Mike, you should definitely watch the fuck out of this. It's so good. Yeah. Pedro's great. And honestly, Wagner Moira, who plays Pablo Escobar, is kind of captivating. But I mean, I personally know you with TV shows, and you probably wouldn't care that much. Yeah. But it is good. But after that, the only thing I've really watched was Event Horizon, which we shall get into in just about 15 minutes. Actually, no, because you didn't watch that many movies because you were away. But
I was
know
away.
for a fact you did watch something. Tell me more about your life.
Well, I know that you missed a couple things that we watched together. First one being
I always do this.
First one being Beau is Afraid, Ari Aster's newest film from A24.
It's been so long.
Yeah, it has. Joaquin Phoenix, of course, is in it. We have a review for that up on the YouTubes, so you can check out our thoughts on that. Beau is Afraid. I will just say it's crazy.
I still haven't rated it.
I saw. Yeah, I know. Probably why you didn't mention it. Then with my boy, my baby child, I watched
Keep going. I just forgot something.
Madagascar. So yeah, Madagascar. Just trying to find any movie that sticks that isn't the same movies he watches over and over again. His latest kick is the Cars trilogy. So I'm not going to mention it, but I watched each Cars movie about 10 times while we were in Iceland.
Jesus. I know you had been watching them for a while. But...
I mean, I haven't been watching. They've been on in the background while I'm just, doing things. But yeah, watch Madagascar. He enjoyed it. He likes the penguins. The penguins are the best part. Everyone knows that. That's why they got their own movie. Then you and I and Jason and Taylor from my film Banshee, we all went to the Jim Thorpe Film Festival that was playing Banshee and watched Banshee. But we also watched a few other local short films. One called Meats and Cheeses.
Oh my God!
And that is now on Letterboxd for you to rate with your little.
Thank Christ, because it's getting so many 5s. It's insane.
Yes, Meats and Cheeses is a hilarious short comedy. It's really, I mean, I don't want to diminish it to this, but it is a skit, pretty much. More so a skit than a short film. Not knocking it. That's just fact. It's like a scenario and a conversation and. But it's hilarious. It is by far... It beat Banshee for best local film, and I'm not even mad. That's how good it is.
Oh, no.
So
even the guy, like when you guys were up there, talking about your films, the guy was just so fucking funny.
Oh, yeah,
like,
he
was. He's just naturally funny. So, like, you could see it pour out into Meats and Cheeses, obviously, and where, obviously, it came from, which is that guy. It was just super... Just super fun. Really kind of a highlight because we even talked about it. We went to lunch right after. We just kept
talking
referencing
about it. And on the way back, we were just like, man, I wish we can have that online somewhere. For those of you...
Because nobody else got the inside joke except for us.
Yeah. So Meats and Cheeses, just to talk about that a little bit, is a short film about these friends where one of them is not exactly sure how many kinds of meats and cheeses there are. That's the entire thing.
Pretty much.
And it's hilarious. Check that out in festivals if you can. I know it's also going to be playing at the Philadelphia Independent Film Festival, which Banshee will also be playing in the weekend after this comes out. The May 20th is when Banshee's playing. I'm not sure when Meats and Cheeses is playing. But if you're in Philadelphia, go check it out. Come see us on May 20th. Yeah. So, yeah, Meats and Cheeses, it's great. Then on the flight to Iceland, I watched rewatched Game Night with Jason Bateman and Rachel McAdams. Great comedy. I love that movie.
That's such a good movie.
I guess, airlines don't really censor movies anymore unless it's, like, involving a plane exploding or whatever.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, they censored the language in this. But the scene where a guy gets sucked into a plane engine, still in there.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So I just thought that was funny. It's the opposite of what
censoring's all about.
Yes, in airplanes at least.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love Game Night. Also, a little Rachel McAdams fact: the movie Eurovision Song Contest with Will Ferrell and Rachel McAdams is about two Icelandic musicians who get into the Eurovision Song Contest. In our sightseeing, Caitlin, my boy, and I accidentally happened upon where they filmed part of that.
Hell yeah!
And there's still two keyboards just randomly in the middle of Iceland. It's literally like in the middle of nowhere. There's a lighthouse there, but that's pretty much it.
It's history now.
Yes.
So.
So I got pictures, me with the keyboard, both that Will Ferrell touch and that Rachel McAdams touch, and now I'm pretty much famous.
You are.
So there's that. But yeah, that's game night. Sorry, going on a little tangent. I just thought that was funny. And then one of my favorite things to do when I travel to different countries is to see a movie in a theater that was produced in that country. And man, I got to see it twice. I got to do it twice.
Oh.
2 times.
Nice.
Yeah, Caitlin let me do it 2 times. The first one I saw was Driving Mum. I have a review for that up on YouTube. And yeah, it's a dark comedy about this guy whose mom wants to go to Gullfoss, which is like a famous waterfall in Iceland, which I got to see as well.
Nice.
But she dies before she gets to see it, so he packs up her body into his car and goes to Gullfoss, which is like a far drive for him.
As any baby boy should.
As any baby boy should, yes. So that's Driving
Who's
Mum. Check
40
out
plus years old.
Yes, check out my review on YouTube for that. Then I watched a movie called Godland. It is a movie about a Danish priest who is brought to Iceland in the 1800s to build a church. And it's kind of like Heart of Darkness situation where he's going through this like barren wasteland and this wild landscape and trying to survive, kind of driving him crazy, having a crisis of faith and everything. It's a little bit Michael Cimino, it's a little bit Terrence Malick, and it's a little bit There Will Be Blood. So right up my alley.
Of course.
We'll have a review for that on YouTube when this comes up. But yeah, that's Godland. Fantastic cinematography. It's hard to get bad cinematography in Iceland because it's just such a pretty country.
Yeah.
So I do suggest people check that out if and when they can. Same with Driving Mum. I don't know when they'll be available in the States, but fantastic films. Then when I came back, I watched Peter Pan and Wendy, the live-action remake of Peter Pan from Disney. The only reason I watched this is that director David Lowery directed it. He, of course, has done A Ghost Story, The Green Knight, and
Just
Ain't
a
Them Body
treasure of
Saints.
sorts.
Yeah, Ain't Them Body Saints, which we just recently reviewed on here. So yeah, I watched it only for him. That's the only reason I watched it. As far as the live action remakes goes, it is the best one of recent ones. But that's also not saying much.
Yeah.
It's pretty much just down the middle okay. But all the other remakes are just bad, so
It's pretty much.
yeah, there are moments in this that I thought were brilliant and like were nice changes to the Peter Pan story. Some moments were way more emotional than I expected them to be. So in that sense, it exceeded my expectations. But yeah, only David Lowery could do that.
Of course. Especially when it comes to Disney.
Exactly. Then I watched Event Horizon, which we'll get into in a minute. And then today I watched a movie called Yellow Rose, which is about a Filipina immigrant. She grew up in the United States, but she's technically an undocumented immigrant, because her parents brought her over when she was young and everything. So it's about her becoming like a country music performer while also hiding from ICE. Pretty interesting. It's kind of got clunky writing, but overall it's a decent film. Not gonna wow anyone really, but it might. But
I was looking to be wowed.
Exactly. I was a little disappointed by it, but I also think it's a pretty decent film as well. But that's all I watched. So after all that, funnily enough, I think you might have taken longer than me.
Yeah, I'm not even done.
You're not. Oh, you're not.
I had forgot one that I technically didn't finish, but I want to express how much the reasoning of me not finishing it. So there was I was browsing through the Apple TV, catalog, and I was like, oh shit, that's right. There's a new movie with Ana de Armas and Chris Evans.
Oh yeah,
it's got to be pretty good.
Nope.
The answer is no. First off, it's 2 hours, right? It's 2 hours long, which I'm like, oh okay, maybe it's like a I knew like the premise of it was like she's kind of like this kind of like hitman, like assassin, but she's obviously it's secret. Chris Evans doesn't know it, and he's just this little farmer boy, just a little farmer man, and he's just a little blue collar little fella, doesn't know nothing, and he's got asthma and shit, and she's popping into town for God knows what reason because something, and God, this movie's so fucking bad. I don't know how to describe it correctly. It's killing me.
That sounds like the plot to Cars 2. I'm not even joking.
Honestly, it might just be. So, God, I hate this so much. This movie, for the 15 minutes, the first 15 minutes felt like 30 minutes.
Ooh.
That's how long and drawn out it was. The dialogue was so bad. Chris Evans he wasn't even entertaining enough to be like, okay, like I could stick through this for enough. I only got to the half-hour mark before realizing I still wasn't even at the 45-minute mark. And I was like, I got to go a little bit more. There's got to be something that's juicy enough to maybe like warrant actually watching this movie. Got to the 45-minute mark, and it was just so fucking bad that I literally looked at it, saw there was still an hour and 15 minutes left, and I quit. I just quit the fucking movie. I think this was before watching. This is called Ghosted.
Oh.
This is before watching Ted Lasso, and this is why. This is the reason I didn't watch any movies. Is because of this.
Yeah.
You know me. I try not to not finish movies. Like I try to watch movies all the way, no matter how bad they are. Mm-hmm. This made me like Alt F4. I rage quit. I just stopped. I literally ended it. I moved on and switched to TV shows and finishing them in a day and a half. That's how mad this movie made me. I was so upset.
One of the writers is of the new Spider-Man trilogy.
That's what's bonkers. Is like the talent in the movie itself isn't bad, but the movie is garbage.
And the writer of Deadpool.
Mm-hmm.
And Deadpool 2.
The CGI was this movie had to be being made during like COVID or like during COVID, and then
I think it was,
and it just splashed over into finally coming out.
Yeah.
This movie sucked so much ass. I gave it 1 star, and I was really fighting on even giving it anything, but like I hated it so much that I gave it a star. Because if I don't finish anything, I don't want to rate it, but I had to because I was so mad.
Yeah, that's funny.
So watch it, Mike. Definitely.
No, I will not watch it, but thank you for the recommendation.
Anyway, after that,
let's get into Event Horizon.
After 7 years in deep space.
18 people on board this ship. When it disappeared, I want them all accounted for.
Opening outer door.
It came back, abandoned.
Any crew? Negative. This place is a tomb.
But it didn't come back alone.
Captain Miller! I've got some problems here! This ship has been beyond the boundaries of our universe. Who knows where it's been? And what it's brought back with it.
What is it? The ship is reacting to us, and the reactions are getting stronger.
What are you telling me? That this ship is alive?
I have such one thing to show you.
Oh my God.
A rescue crew investigates a spaceship that disappeared into a black hole and has now returned with someone or something new on board.
Ooh.
Directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, written by Philip Eisner. Stars Laurence Fishburne, Sam Neill, Kathleen Quinlan, Jolie Richardson, Richard T. Jones, Jack Noseworthy. I almost said Newsworthy. Jason Isaacs, Sean Pertwee, Peter Merrick. There's only a small crew, so I'm just going to say the rest. Peter Marinker and Holly Chant. So I picked this movie because it was referenced, obviously 2 or 3 weeks ago in a video that I saw, and they were like, "This is our Event Horizon." And I'm like, "What the fuck does that even mean?" So I looked it up and then saw that you hadn't seen it. And I was like, man, I guess we're both going to figure out what the fuck that means. And after further viewing, I still don't even know what that means fully, and I'm scared to know what that guy was referencing, because this movie unpacks a lot, and anything he referenced during whatever video I saw had nothing to do with what the fuck he was talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I was pleasantly surprised that I think last time I didn't show as much surprise, but Paul W.S. Anderson made this movie, period. Because it didn't feel like, at least to me, for the most part, a Paul W.S. Anderson movie until like some certain moments. But for the most part, it was put together way more better than any of his other previous works. Also, surprise little note, is that he made Mortal Kombat, and I had no idea that he made that, which is kind of crazy.
First one?
The first one, yeah.
That's bad?
The first one was like one of the better Mortal Kombat movies. The second one was the one that was really bad.
Yeah, my one of my college professors worked on the second one, and he said it was the worst experience he ever had.
Yeah, the second one was really bad, but the first one's like ranked. It's like up there in video game movies, so that was really surprising. That not that is what we're supposed to be talking about, but still.
Yeah, I agree that technically it definitely felt more competent than anything else he has made. It's got interesting cinematography, got great editing and all that. But the thing that just screamed, and granted, had I not known it was him, it probably would not have stuck out as much. Yeah, that screamed that he directed it is just how he got the performances he got out of people in the bigger moments.
Yeah.
Like anytime someone screams, it seems kind of cheesy and hokey and forced. Mm-hmm. And I feel like a better director would have been able to get a better take, but it seems like maybe he got like the second or third take and you're just like, that's good enough.
It's very funny because a lot of the actors are really good in this, and then they'll just have really stale moments. Yes,
yeah, and that was probably my biggest thing with this is that, we got Laurence Fishburne, Sam Neill, Kathleen Quinn, Jolie Richardson. I know I've seen her in other things. Jason Isaacs, for crying out loud. They're all fantastic actors. But they're very inconsistent in this. They have some moments that are great, and then other moments that are just like you could tell they weren't sure what they were supposed to be doing. Yeah. And that is absolutely a directorial problem. And again, had I not known this was Paul W.S. Anderson directing it, I probably would not have picked up on it as much. But it just a lot of those same problems happen in the Resident Evil movies he directs.
Yep.
So it just kind of took me out of it a lot. But technically speaking, for 1997, with the exception of a few moments of bad CGI, visually this is a great movie.
Yeah, great set pieces and everything.
Absolutely, the heart of the ship that they take him into that has like the machine that makes the black hole. That's a beautiful set.
The gravity drive.
Yeah, the gravity drive. That's right, and. It's just a very impressive visual film. God has way more. Like I knew this was horror, but it has way more body horror than I thought it would.
Yeah.
Like it is maybe a step down from Hellraiser. In as terms of body horror, but there's a lot in there that's just like Jesus fucking Christ.
Yep.
Like they went. I thought this was. I didn't know much about this movie, but I thought it was more sci-fi with a little bit of horror. But I think it's a horror movie with a little bit of sci-fi in it.
Pretty much, yeah.
But yeah, for the most part, I would say just knowing this is Paul W.S. Anderson, it did impress me, but it also fell flat enough for me where I didn't quite love it as much as I was hoping to.
It's like watching a Michael Bay movie and then he makes something. You're like, oh, like not knowing. You're like, this was Michael Bay, huh? Yeah. Holy shit! Yeah. Holy fuck. Okay. Wow. That's what this to do a little simile, I guess. This is what that felt like, because like a lot of points, without knowing for sure, it does not feel like his movie, unless like you also include the random nudity from time to time and stuff like that. But I was like,
gratuitous, completely gratuitous too.
Yep. It did not feel like it, and obviously warranting half of his catalog is what it is. Resident Evil or just some other goofy stuff. This was definitely the most serious and definitely his best work, in my opinion. Humbly, of course.
Of course, you got to remain humble.
Yes. It was a pleasant surprise. There's, other than like the acting, which kind of takes you out of the stiff moments, like where it's kind of stale. The set, like the plot of it's like just genuinely good. And like the core concept of it is kind of riveting, to be honest with you. And I wish there was more, but then there's a lot of moments that kind of take away from it. Like a lot towards the end half is where there's like just bad sound effects, which is why I mentioned earlier, like the punching, like it sounds like a terrible punching on a bag or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Is just where, like, I don't know, I just remember specifically Laurence Fishburne gets like thrown into the gravity drive wall, and it just sounds like it's literally a spit. That's what it sounded like. I was like, what in the fuck is this 2008 YouTube video that I just watched right now?
Something we would have done.
I mean, I still will, but but like there's moments like where there was the bad sound effects, which just kind of took me out. I'm like, holy shit, what was that? I don't know. It's I think also one other thing that was bad. There's just so many little sprinkles that like make the core concept of it and the movie itself like go from really good to be like it's above good. It's just below that threshold. The token black guy that was in this too, Cooper, where he's just like talking like he does and just saying the random shit that he does in this movie.
Making everyone on board need an HR department.
Yep.
Just and sexually harassing the women with no.
And he's just like, why the fuck are you doing this to me? Like, why do you think it? Like, I was like, oh, that's really cringy compared to everything else that's been going on and being super serious. Like, if it's like a comedic flair, that's what like his character was, but it was just so abstract to everything else going on around him that it just felt dumb.
Yeah, he is one of the better moments. I forget exactly what he says, but it's after like Sam Neill blows up the Clark. And he's floating away, and then he blows his air tank in order to get back to the Event Horizon. And as he's approaching, he goes, "Oh shit, I'm gonna hit," or something. I forget exactly what he says.
He just has his own dialogue that he's just talking to himself.
But he just like he has like a Dexter moment where he's like, "Surprise, motherfucker!" But then like half a second later, he's like, "Oh shit, I'm gonna hit." No, I think he says, "I can't stop." He's like, "Oh shit, I can't stop."
That's exactly what he says. He's like, "Oh shit, how am I gonna stop?" Oh,
yeah.
And then he hits the fucking window, and Sam Neill just turns.
It's such a tonal whiplash from him
especially that situation
moment
that they were in right there, and then he's coming in. He's like, "Oh shit, what the fuck am I gonna do, man?" It's funny. Like if there was more comedy to the movie, I guess. But as far as like that went, it's just like you said, it's like a tonal whiplash. It's just like it's going from all this seriousness and like these guys talking. Science shit and all this fuck, and then he just comes in. He's like, "What the fuck do you mean by that?" And he's just like, it's just so out of pocket. It's insane.
Yeah, it's of course this movie is not meant to be super intelligent. The entire time I was watching, especially when Sam Neill was explaining the concept of like the ship and everything, I was like, this is just like a dumber Interstellar. Yeah. With the explanation with like the pencil through the paper and everything. But there are so many things in this that like just don't make sense. Like they have a limited amount of time to get off the event horizon because they're running out of oxygen. But when they think they're about to leave on the Clark, they're collecting oxygen tanks from the event horizon to put onto the Clark. Like, why was there that much time if you had that much oxygen on the event horizon? It's just there's a lot of like just stupid things where it just completely negates or forgets what it was doing in the first place. It makes a lot of, exposition things that doesn't make sense or just out of left field, which, is the plot of the movie, is that like the ship is reacting to them and everything. But when Stark, I think her name is, which is played by Jolie Richardson, or maybe it's Kathleen Quinlan, who figures it. I forget who figures it out, but they're just like, I have a theory. The ship is reacting to us.
That
it's
was
like,
Stark.
And she says it way too early for it to make sense. Like she says it like maybe like an hour into them being on board. It's like, how did you have that theory? Like where's your
she
evidence?
had no reactions almost the whole time. Actually, I don't think she had any period.
I think she, when I was looking for a still to post, there was one where she's like tied up by barbed wire or whatever. But I don't remember that person.
They showed that in the flashbacks that they never showed They never showed her having any like hallucinations or anything like that. Like they showed that through Lawrence's oh my god, I'm losing my mind. Lawrence's Fishburne's, man. It hurts. But Jesus Christ. They showed it through his hallucinations and what's going on in his head, but like they never show anything of her reacting to anything. Cooper didn't have any because he just wasn't on the ship like at all.
Yeah, same with Smith.
Yeah, Smith was getting skeevies, but he never
poor
like
Justin was just a punching bag of the event horizon.
Homie got fucked on.
Everything bad that could have happened to anyone happened to Justin.
Yeah,
who was it was weird that they kept calling him Baby Bear.
Baby Bear.
Like they didn't explain it. I think
it was Mama Bear. So like it was like a playful thing between those two crewmates. As Mama Bear.
Yeah, but it was just weird. It was
100%.
It was just like, what the fuck?
Because no one else had a little nickname. Like, Miller would be Papa Bear or some shit like that because he's like head of the ship or whatever. But it was just silly, just goofy.
Yeah. It's, of course, filled with a lot of stupid sci-fi tropes, too. Like, they have that distorted video. And she's just like, I'm going to run it through some filters to clean it up. It's like, that's not how video filters work. And with how fucked up that is, there's nothing you can do.
Yep.
Like, you can remaster something with scratches, but you need...
Yeah, once the video is like that, it's kind of fucked. You can't just filter that. But, suspension of disbelief.
Yeah.
I'm disbelieving the suspension.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I feel like, a lot of great actors in this. I kind of felt like Laurence Fishburne was phoning it in.
Yeah.
Maybe he was just kind of over the film or whatever.
Well, yeah, maybe like he saw like there's a lot of he had a lot of good parts, but a lot of it felt staler to what he could do, and it might have. I was never there. I was 4 years old when this came out. It might just have been like he saw how the director was, directing. It was like.
Yeah, if he's not gonna care, I'm not gonna care. Yeah, something like that. Because I mean, obviously he's better, but he's. I find it so funny because there's a moment in this that reminds me of The Matrix. It's when Sam Neill's character is kind of like holding him captive, and he grabs his face because. Agent Smith in The Matrix does damn near the exact same thing. And I was like, man, the 90s were just Laurence Fishburne being held captive by Australian actors and being touched awkwardly on the face. That was his MO for the 90s. No, but the movie overall is okay. Just by how much hype I heard about this, I was expecting it to be more... good, more good.
I thought the first half had a lot of promise to it.
Yes, it
And then
fails miserably.
And then the second half didn't deliver as hard as it felt like it was promising.
I think a lot of horror fans, as they always do, I don't know why I put such a hard H on that. A lot of horror fans, as they always do, overhype it because of the horror elements are very impressive, and I will give it that. Like the flashes of the gore and the violence is terrifying. But you're absolutely right that it just does not deliver on the promises that it sets up, and has one of the worst endings I have ever seen in a movie, where Stark, Cooper, and I think Justin all escape.
Yep.
And like they're rescued, and Stark is like having a nightmare or whatever, and then it just like ends. But not in like an interesting, I want to see more way. It's just like you could have stopped it 2-3 minutes ago and it would have been better.
It would have been the same exact thing.
Yeah. So it was a horrible ending in my opinion.
I think he's known to do that in a couple movies though. I feel like he did that in Resident Evil as well.
I mean, I've only seen a handful of the Resident Evil movies. I feel like they're all pretty bad.
I can't remember because I did the reviews for the 60 seconds during COVID, and then I just don't remember. They're just forgettable movies, so it's hard to tell.
They really are. Yeah. Caitlin and I went on one of our first dates to see Resident Evil Extinction.
I don't know how you guys got married after all that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, me neither. I don't remember anything about that movie other than it takes place in the desert. But
that is like one of the ones where I just stopped caring because a lot of the characters that got whatever. This review is not about that. There was. See how much that pissed me off so fast.
Well, no, that happens to us a lot. Where
I'm a hardcore Resident Evil fan, so I just don't even want to go down that road.
Yeah.
But yeah, this movie had a lot of promise. I would love, honestly, to see a remake of this and it be taken like seriously
with a better director.
Honestly, you don't even have to change terribly that much about it. You can keep the core plot, like the ship being alive and all that shit. But I think there's better ways of going about the overall aspect of it. I feel like a bigger crew could even be like implemented in this and everything.
Yeah.
Make you feel like there's more stakes involved and stuff like that. Maybe not hallucinations of sorts, but I feel like there's more that could be added to this to make it like a really good fucking movie. It was a good movie. It was just a little left behind on certain parts, and you wish there was more, but it didn't give you that more.
Yeah.
But there's hope one day maybe.
Yeah. The one thing that I thought was kind of funny about this is that this was like a very anti-science movie. Mm-hmm. Like they had no time for Sam Neill's like scientific explanations, and then like they don't try to justify his actions at all. Mm-hmm. When it comes to like the scientific process of the event horizon. They just make him look crazy immediately.
Oh my god, my favorite part about that is they were like, all right, explain to us what's happening, Doc. He starts explaining, what the fuck are you talking about, man?
Layman's terms.
He's like, layman's terms. And then he starts like talking a little bit like, more on an average brain level. And he's like, fucking speak English, man.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, so why even ask him if you're just gonna be a dick?
And the funny thing is, like, when he speaks in layman's terms, like, it's pretty easy to follow. It's like, how are these people space travelers and that stupid?
Yeah.
I don't understand it. Like, they're supposed to be also scientists and military people. But
so funny.
I thought it was dangerously anti-science in how it is. And honestly, probably a lot of the reason that a lot of people don't trust scientists today if this movie was popular enough.
Well, that's another... I feel like they could have built more off of Sam Neill's character and then, like, the kind of, I guess, air quotes, twist of how he became the villain could have been, like, more, like, like
Well, yeah,
awestruck.
they don't explain like how he's infatuated with the other, like it doesn't try to justify anything he does, so then it just makes him like seem stupid right off the bat.
They basically they just pick him. That's pretty much it. They just picked Sam Neill. Like there was no justification why they did. They just kind of did.
Yeah.
Obviously he built it and everything, but they I don't know.
One thing we do know about him.
Yeah.
Sorry, what?
No.
Oh.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, one thing we do know about him is that he has a dead wife, and we know that because he has 50,000 pictures around his bed. Like, how many fucking pictures of one person? And they're all, like, none of them are terribly different. They're all, like, single portraits.
How dare you? You widowed bitch.
Well, no, it's I have no problem with him having a one or two pictures.
No, it just
he
shows
has
you
like
immediately.
20,
and
like 10 of them are like damn near the same. And it's that
he just loves her from every angle, man.
Well, it's the same angle. That's the problem.
She only needs one.
That was the moment that I knew that this movie was not what everyone promised me it was. I was like, oh. I saw that and I was like, oh, this is a B movie that tricks people into thinking it's good.
Yeah.
And I want to preface this by saying I enjoyed it, but it's absolutely a B movie that tricks people into thinking it's good.
Honestly,
which is fine. Like if you like this, if you think it's a good movie, that's good for you. Film is subjective, which is why it's so great. But the second I saw all of those pictures, like, oh man. We're in trouble here.
We were indeed in trouble.
Yes, we were.
And make it double. The only other thing I really have to talk about is, obviously we talked earlier about Cooper kind of smacking into the ass, be like, oh shit, how do I stop? That scene was funny, and then in being Laurence Fishburne's getting pointed at with this bolt gun, and he's like, if you shoot me and miss, you'll put a hole in the ship or hole in the hull and just blow, like just fucking. He's like, what makes you think I'll miss? Turns to Cooper and then shoots the fucking window, sucking everyone almost out of the. It's like, what was the genius in that? There's no way Cooper would have gotten in or anything like that. And then not only that is you just compressed all that air outside and got sucked the fuck out.
Oh yeah.
And then the most annoying part is there would be no air to breathe in. I mean, I'm not much of a scientist, so fucking Glenn here talking to you about science is insane. All that air getting sucked out, and these people are just hanging on for dear life, and somehow still breathing and exerting energy to get out was beyond me. And I was like, what the fuck is happening right now? And then I just was like, all right, just let it go. That drove me nuts.
Yeah.
But it was really funny, both seeing Laurence Fishburne's little captain's chair, and that was really goofy to see, just him sitting in that, and then seeing Sam Neill sit in it and then flying out of the fucking window was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, the funny thing about, like, obviously that chair was designed to keep it steady when there's like a lot of movement and everything. Yeah. Another way you could do that is by not having your artificial gravity on. Like, if you did that, it would get rid of so much of the turbulence that you go through in the ship.
It was like the most eyesore thing about their ship. I'm like, what the fuck is that chair? What is that captain's chair? Because everything else was normal.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. Anyway, that's really all I kind of have to say about it.
It is weird that, like, I am now at the age, and you are a little bit too, where, like, we go back and watch these movies with all these famous actors, and I'm now currently the age of I'm the age that Jason Isaacs is in this.
Yep.
Laurence Fishburne in this. Laurence Fishburne is always like, he is probably the one person that has always looked like he's like 45.
Yeah.
Because in this he's 36, and I'm pretty soon going to be 34. So, like, he's close to my age in that, but he still looks like he's 20 years older than me. Of course, everyone knows in Apocalypse Now he was 14, but he lied and people believed him to think he was older.
It's a weird concept to grasp, and it's even weirder when you see an actor that's like, oh my god, yeah, they're a little bit older than me, and you find out you're 2 years older than them. I'm like, ugh,
oh no,
yucky. I hate that.
But yeah, I mean, overall, I enjoyed watching this. I wouldn't say it was a good movie, but it's an enjoyable movie, which is, more than I could say about any of other Paul W.S. Anderson movies. He's got to change his name because it's too close to Paul Thomas Anderson.
It is. It's kind of aggravating.
Yeah. How dare he have the same name?
How dare?
Yes.
So what are you thinking there, Papa?
Well, I'm thinking that does it for our review for Event Horizon. That brings us to the Judgment. As always, it needs to be a unanimous decision whether or not it goes on the KFR show for the likes of Apostle and Handmaiden. Glenn, you picked this, so you go first. So I don't know why you were asking me, unless you were just
I was trying to trick you.
You bastard!
So weirdly enough, I liked this movie, and I wish there was more. There's parts where it made the movie like bad in the moments, but I don't think it overall made the movie bad in any way.
Yeah.
Is kind of like you said, it was kind of overhyped to the point where like we watched it and we're like, this isn't that fucking crazy. But I did enjoy this way more than I thought I would. So I'm going to say I reluctantly want to put it on the shelf. The bad moments are bad, but I think overall the concept and everything was just good, and the movie was fun overall. But it's so weird that there's so many little things to make you want to not do it, but I'm doing it. So I kind of want to put it on that shelf.
Yeah. I would agree if it weren't for that horrible ending.
Yeah. Everything
else is forgivable. Everything else in this film is forgivable for being a B horror sci-fi movie. It's not my favorite. I'll probably never watch it again.
Same.
But I enjoyed it for the most part for what it was. It was obvious that Paul W.S. Anderson does not know how to work with actors, arguably still doesn't know how to work with actors, but visually I think he's a good filmmaker. He's just not a good storyteller or, co-worker for actors. But that ending is so unforgivably bad that I cannot in good conscience put it on the shelf. And I am sorry, Glenn.
Understandable.
But I'm going to have to say no.
It makes me both not upsetty spaghetti, but it makes me want to watch Sunshine.
Sunshine is such a better movie. I was actually thinking about that. The scene where Justin gets sucked out of the air compressor thing.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Airlock?
Airlock. He gets sucked out of that.
Yeah.
It reminded me of that one scene in Sunshine that is still ridiculously unbelievable, but still somehow more believable than the one in this. But yeah, Sunshine's a fantastic movie. Everyone watch Sunshine.
Sunshine's so good.
Sunshine is so good, and honestly, if it comes up in streaming roulette, we're watching it. I don't give a heck. I don't give a heck, Glenn.
No hecks were given.
But anyways, so Event Horizon, while still enjoyable, does not make it on the KFR show for the likes of Apostle and Handmaiden. That brings us to our assignment for next week. It is streaming roulette week. As always, we spin the very real wheel with all the movies that we subscribe to through streaming services. It's the size of Rhode Island. It is big. It is wood, and it blocks traffic on I-95.
Holy shit!
Oh, it's ridiculous how large it is. But we spin it 3 times, and we pick the one that tickles our fancy the most. However, if Sunshine comes up this first time, we will only spin it once.
Yep.
So, without any further ado, here comes spin number 1. Zombieland.
Can you imagine if Sunshine did pop up?
Yeah. Zombieland was actually...
one day
what was I gonna say? It's written by one of the writers of Ghosted.
Oh God, why me?
So Zombieland, that is going to be on Prime, Apple, Crackle, Criterion. No, sorry, that's all of the things I subscribe to. Ignore that, Glenn. It's going to be on Netflix, Zombieland. A shy student trying to reach his family in Ohio, a gun-toting bruiser in search of the last Twinkie, and a pair of sisters striving to get to an amusement park join forces in a trek across a zombie-filled America. Directed by Ruben Fleischer, written by Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick, starring Jesse Eisenberg, Emma Stone, Woody Harrelson, and Abigail Breslin. Bill Murray's also in there for a hot minute. Oh, yeah. And Amber Heard.
Why?
So, yeah. It was last year. So that is, of course, Zombieland. 7.6 out of 10 on IMDb. 73 Metacritic score, and that is going to be on Netflix. That is our first spin. Here comes spin number 2. U-Turn. Looks like possibly a Bollywood movie.
2016.
Okay, there we go.
It is on Netflix.
Netflix. Directed by Pawan Kumar, written by Pawan Kumar, starring Shraddha Srinath, Roger Narayan, Radhika Narayan. I wonder if they're related. Dilip Raj, and other people. Let me see if it is indeed Indian. Where is that gosh darn thing? Darn tootin'. A journalist who intends to write an article on traffic rule breakers gets dragged into a whirlpool of murder cases and deception. Interesting.
To further solidify, it is from India.
Yes. So that's 7.4 out of 10 on IMDb. U-Turn on Netflix. That is spin number 2. We need sunshine, damn it.
We do.
Here comes spin number 3. It's not sunshine.
No, it just made me a sad boy.
Yeah, same here. Pool Hall Junkies.
Oh. Christopher Walken here.
Oh, really?
Oh, Michael Rosenbaum's in there too.
Oh.
Chaz Palminteri.
So that's going to be on Freevee, it looks like. Possibly more.
It's on a bunch of stuff. YouTube, Tubi, Pluto, Peacock, Sling, Roku, Amazon.
Yes.
Whole bunch of stuff.
Pool Hall Junkie, 6.8 out of 10 on IMDb. 36 Metacritic score. That's not looking good. A talented pool hustler who has stayed out of the game for years must go back to his old ways when his little brother gets involved with his enemy, the very man who held him back from greatness. It is directed by Mars Callahan, written by Mars Callahan and Chris Corso. It is starring Mars Callahan. Oh, God, it's a ego project. Chaz Palminteri, Michael Rosenbaum, Ricky Schroeder, Raj Steiger is in it. Allison Eastwood, I believe she's related to Clint Eastwood. Christopher Walken, as you said, as well. Was there anyone else?
There's people in there.
There's a guy named Peter Dobson. I don't know. He might be familiar. But that is Pool Hall Junkies. So we have Pool Hall Junkies, U-Turn, and Zombieland. God. Our first roulette week couldn't have been... I mean, it could have been worse, but nothing tickles my fancy, really.
Yeah, I want to go ahead and kind of knock off Zombieland, to be honest. Yeah. I've seen it. I probably wouldn't have too much to talk about. That's up to you, though. I guess we'll figure that out.
Yeah, I'm leaning Zombieland just because it's the only one that I know is at least okay.
All right.
Planet Earth, home to over 6 billion people. Today, our very existence is threatened by epidemics, climate change, and dwindling resources. But those are the least of our problems. Welcome to Zombieland.
I'm not excited about this. I mean, I'm super excited. We got to get people excited to watch it or listen to the next week episode.
Twinkies.
Yes. So we're going with
I don't even know if they make those anymore still.
Well, I know that Tasty Cakes are better.
Yeah.
And that's Zombieland's biggest flaw, as far as I'm concerned, is that they're not talking about Tasty Cakes.
They messed up.
They did mess up. So, I guess Zombieland is the movie we're watching next week?
I guess so.
Yes. Thank you, everyone, for listening. As always, you can check out our website at www.keystonefilmreview.com. On Instagram, we're Keystone_film_review. Facebook and TikTok and YouTube, Keystone Film Review. No, wait. Something like that. And then on Letterboxd, I'm Mike KFR. It's been a while.
It's been a minute. Yeah.
And you are Glen KFR.
Glen KFR.
Yeah, sorry, I stepped on your toes there.
Yeah, right on my toes. You're lucky I was wearing sandals.
What?
So it's easy access to step on them.
But yes, and we will see you next week when we talk about Zombieland. Very exciting.
Very.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Save yourself from hell.